Welcome to another episode of the Anchorage Theater Community. I am your host, Matt Fernandez, Executive Director here at Anchorage Community Theater, and I am on the set of our new second stage production in collaboration with RKP Productions, Florida. This would explain my next guest. He has been a revered member of the Anchorage Theater community for decades. He is an actor, a writer, a director, and co-founder of RKP Productions. I'd like to welcome Dick Reichman to the stage. Welcome to the bar, Dick.
Thank you.
Go ahead and have a seat there.
Okay.
All right. We had an audience that'd be going, but you know.
As we had some drinks, they wouldn't be doing anything.
That's right. All right. Well, so you. I don't want to rip this off. I've got to be careful. This is all set, people.
Right.
So,
All fake.
so how come we're in a bar?
Well, this is a typical place where people, typical watering hole. You
Right.
find anywhere across America, sort of an inexpensive local bar. This happens to be an Eagles Club.
Oh, not. Oh, really?
It's a little bit
Oh,
exclusive, yeah.
So, have you been a part of the Eagles before, or
No,
or
I've
a
been
club
to a lot
like
of
that?
bars.
Yeah. Very cool.
I've drank at Eagle Club bars because I knew some Eagles.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a place right down Dowling, I think, in Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big one in Valdez. I lived there for Valdez, and the
Oh, is that right?
Eagles Club bar was an interesting crowd.
So Florida opened last night. How's the response been?
Well, I was amazed. We had a preview that
Oh yeah, I
filled
heard
up the house completely,
filled out.
and we had an opening night that was really quite good. And so I'm delighted. You know, we have small theater companies, as you know, and we're even smaller than Anchorage Community Theater, have a hard time getting the word out.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
wonderful that we got the word out and we got some people, because it's really hard. You know, buying an ad in the paper is more money than you would make doing the show.
Well,
The
and
economics aren't there to advertise little theater stuff in the city.
yeah, yeah. No, that's very true. And I would consider, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I would consider your production company more artistic than commercial. Would that be a
Well,
correct
that's
thing to
really
say?
why we exist. You know, we got together originally under Bob Pond. So Bob Pond, at the end of his time, wanted to direct some plays with grown-ups and do some more serious theater. And of course, we were proposing doing things that community theater didn't want to do, or Cyrano's didn't want to do. After all, they got to sell tickets and make some money. So we decided we'd form this theater company with the goal of losing money.
Yeah.
We would do all these funky plays that were interesting and important and blah, that other people didn't want to do.
What a way to stick it, you know? Just
It'd be real
forget the
cheap.
money.
Well, be
I
real
like
cheap. That was the whole idea. We're not going to bother to raise money. We're not going to become a 501c, no board of directors. All out of pocket, real cheap. And it ended up that we put a pile of money in the middle, and it sort of has held up over the years. So
Well, you guys are, what is it, going on 9 years now? Was it 2011? When you did Glass Menagerie was 2011. Was that the first RKP production?
I guess so.
Yeah, and Bob directed that one.
Well, we originally came to existence, Bob was wanting to direct some stuff.
Okay.
And so that was the first time we were given up. Bob had retired from the community theater.
Yeah.
And wanted to do some grown-up theater. So, and I had done a couple of tours out of Cyrano's and shows, and I said, we can put together a production real cheap. And if we don't spend any money and we lose it, what the hell? And so that's how we got going. And Bob did a number of shows with us. And,
How far back did you and Bob Pond go?
well, you know, I met Bob Pond many years ago. I'm a piano tuner, a part-time piano tuner.
Oh.
So he called me to tune his piano. I said, oh, great, I'll go meet the community theater director. I'd seen him, I'd never really met him. And I walked into that house with my tools, and we sat down, we started talking. I think we must have talked for 4 hours. It was fascinating. I never got to tune. I hadn't come back and tuned the piano every day. I just talked to him, and ever since then we became friends. I was fascinated by the guy. had such a love of the serious side of the art of theater. It was so refreshing to take it so seriously. I love that about him. He was an artist deep down.
Yeah, Bob meant a lot to me,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I respected his view of the arts, and not just just theater, but film and music as well. I mean, just basically storytelling.
If Bob had been what's the word for an extra in the opera?
Oh,
A special name for people who have a small part.
Oh, I don't
kind of
know
know what that is. Anyway, he was working at the Metropolitan Opera. I was in high school at the time. I was going to the opera at that time. I would stand in the back. I went to all the operas, saw the big stars.
and that was on the East
And
Coast.
I know that I saw Bob on that stage because he said, I was in this production with so-and-so. I saw that production. He was in the chorus. I've seen him at least once on the Met stage before I knew him, way back in the early 60s.
Wow. You actually
Extranumerary, I think they call him.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
that's a new word for me.
Little tiny parts in the opera.
Well, you actually had the opportunity to direct Bob in a show that I saw at Cyrano's, Jihadi Jones, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Now, as far as all accounts are, that's probably the first play that he's acted in since, what, the 60s?
Oh, he was a bus stop here in the 60s.
Yeah. Was that probably the
He was
last?
a tall, skinny kid. Didn't look anything like him.
I know, he should have stuck with the theater, would have stayed skinny, no, I'm kidding.
Well, he was, I had to twist his arm to get him to do it.
But
And
it was the perfect role for him.
he was the most insecure actor. I couldn't believe it. He needed all the treatment that he gave everybody. He was so insecure going on stage. I don't know my lines. Just like a kid.
Are you serious?
Bob, don't worry about it. You know this business. He was really scared he was gonna.
It was a joy for me to see him in that, to see him on stage,
Yeah, he was a good actor. He was a good actor.
Yeah, I miss him. It's still not okay with me that he's gone, and I still think that he had more to do. So I haven't moved on. I haven't moved on from Bob's passing. It's been
Well, in my case, I think I really have not had a lot of people to talk about art with. People are interested, people don't spend their life thinking about it. So it was a wonderful opportunity to enrich my mental life, just talking to him about, we talked a lot about opera, we both love opera. Film, of course, I don't know much about film, but I'm surprised he never worked in film because film was as important to him as the stage.
Yeah, he said his favorite film was The Verdict with Paul Newman. It was a Sidney Lumet.
Oh yeah, that's a wonderful film. That was his favorite, huh?
Yeah.
That's
And I think if you watch that film, you might see why that meant something to him. I think.
Well, I saw it fairly recently on Netflix, and
Oh, did you?
it's just a good piece of writing, a good piece of acting.
Yeah, Paul.
It never lets you down, well-structured piece. He was very into structure. He wrote a couple of film plays. He wrote
I have one of his screenplays.
He worked on a script at one point. His goal was to follow all the rules.
Yeah,
Of writing a 3-act play. And the rules, of course, most people regard those as ridiculous and restricting, and who needs to follow rules. Well, Bobby followed every rule. And he came up with this technically perfect screenplay. And I read through it, and yeah, this is a great B movie. He's really got it down.
Well, maybe in his honor someday we'll submit it around.
Yeah, that probably could get picked up.
That'd be
It
something.
wasn't high art. It was interesting. He was really going for the low grade.
Yeah.
It was perfectly structured. He knew exactly where to put every car chase scene.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. So you also your co-founders are also Bruce and Audrey Kelly. So
Yeah.
how did you meet them? How far
Well, I
back?
met them years ago. We were all serving on the Cyrano's board together.
Oh, okay.
And this couple showed up, and they were just all about doing whatever they could, wherever they could, to create artistic events. And what a miracle these people are. They're just out there. They're not, most of us who are out there creating artistic events are eager to get, their play up or take the role or do something. They have no interest in doing theater, really. They just want to create theater. So on the board, they were really dynamic. And so we were friends for years before we came up with the idea of, well, we want to do some funky plays that nobody wants to do. Why don't we just tear it off and try it?
Well, that's the thing that I've noticed with the Kellys is that they will go on a trip or something, and then they will watch plays, on the East Coast or wherever else, and then they'll come back and say, we need to bring that to Anchorage, and that's kind of what I think their contribution to RKP, at least it seems to me, has been, is like, hey, we just saw this great thing in, in England or New York or whatever, and let's be the ones to bring it to Anchorage.
Yeah, they go around and look for plays, but the real that's one gift. But the real gift to them, they just give. If they commit themselves to a project, they just jump in with both feet, spend 24 hours a day making it happen, and it happens.
Yeah,
they're just so full of energy and imagination just to make things happen.
Yeah. So, well, RKP's relationship with ACT, at least as far as my recollection goes, well, I'll pose this as more of a question. Did it start with Women of Lockerbie, to your recollection?
Well,
and that.
Yeah, I didn't really think of RKP as being anything in particular. In the first few years I was thinking, well, we're just going to do another funky play nobody wants to do, and Bruce and Audrey are going to help. And so Audrey came up with the name RKP. I said, who needs a name? I mean, we're not even, who cares? Who cares what theater company? You go to the community theater, you think it's a community theater. You go to Cernos, you think it's, so who cares if we have a name? But oh no, says Audrey, we're going to have a name. We're going to be a theater, people are going to know us. No way. I said, well, actually, people kind of do know us because we've done a bunch of shows now. And so we are kind of a separate entity.
Yeah.
But in reality, in fact, as you well know, there's only one community theater. And there's only one theater
Community
crowd in this town. We call it ACT Productions, Cyrano's Productions, RKP. It's the same folks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's very true. And you guys, last year you did a show with us on our stage. So Women of Lockerbie was actually done at APU.
that was Grant Hall.
Yeah, Grant Hall, but you guys moved in here for Two Jews Walk into a War.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that, or tell the audience a little bit about that play.
Well, that was a play that Bruce and Audrey saw
And you acted
in Boston, yeah. And they came home and said, here's a play we want to do, but in this case, you're not going to direct it, you're going to do this role.
Oh, I remember this.
And I said, really?
Yeah, it's funny. They always come back and they're like, and this person would be perfect for this role.
Exactly. And I said, really, you want me to do the role? And I read the script and I said, oh, this is delightful. And then I thought, well, geez, Mark Stoneburner. Mark doesn't do a lot of theater. He's got a lot of other things going on in his life. But I just read that script and I saw him in that part, so I went over and twisted his arm a little. It wasn't too hard. And doing it with him was just a gem. I just love being on stage with. He's so there,
Yeah, you all were
great
a good.
experience.
You all were a good duo for sure.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
One of the funny things about that play, you guys did the show. We were able to squeeze your production in, I think, between two shows. We did Don't Dress for Dinner and Best Christmas Pageant Ever, and Two Jews was right there. So when we did auditions for Best Christmas Pageant Ever, it was on the set of Two Jews Walk into a War. And the set is basically a synagogue that has been shot up. There's bullet holes destroyed, and throughout the play, you're the only two Jews left, and
The last synagogue in Kabul,
and
Afghanistan.
Kabul, right?
Yeah.
And you're putting it together. But I have photographs the kids doing the auditions on the set with like bullet holes behind it and stuff, and like torn up.
The best Christmas pageant.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's so fun. But that's just the way it is with you know, doing this theater stuff. Is so uncanny, you know what I mean? Like here we are, we're talking, you know, at a, you know, it looks like, you know, if we didn't say it was a set, it would look like we were talking at a bar, you know, Long Branch Saloon or something. But you know, we just. By the way, Bill Heim and Brian Saylor. I know Bill Heim did a ton of this work along with Alona Wright, and so I want to give them.
Brian has been the
shout out.
set. Brian has saved us over and over again. Brian has done all the.
Oh yeah. And he knows
this year,
this
however,
space
Brian
really
had
well.
some family trip to make, so he was coming in really late. I'll do the show. He says, "Well, I'm not getting back until late December." And so he left me on his trip, and I said, "I know he'll do it because he always comes through."
Yeah.
And Bill Hine said, "Well, you know, I'd like to do your set." I said, "Really?"
Yeah.
Well, Brian says he's going to do it, but Brian's not here right now. Maybe you want to start. Well, Bill came in and he built.
Oh yeah, he busted it out like crazy.
I'm just amazed at the guy.
Yeah.
He's just as amazing as Brian. Brian is, I've been always teasing Brian, you know, you're the prefabricated set factory for anchors. Everybody does a play, they hire you and you show up with a set in 5 minutes.
That's true.
Bill did the same thing. It was amazing. He just created the set on a whole cloth, all by himself.
No.
You're the new Brian Saylor.
I know. Yeah. I mean, yeah. We walked in here, and what the viewing audience doesn't know is that this is only half of the set. The other half is the bedroom, right? Is the
Well, you know,
or is it a hospital room?
It's a bedroom of a recovering patient. This is an idea that I think is particularly interesting and fairly new. This play, Florida, is 2 plays on the same stage.
Oh, neat.
So you split the stage down the middle, and over here you have one set and one set of characters. Over here on this side you have another set and another set of characters.
What was your inspiration for the story?
I've always been interested in musical form. And I've often tried to structure plays around musical form. In this case, it's a 2-part fugue, basically looking at a duet by Bach or something, see how it goes together, and seeing if I can structure a play similar to such a piece of music. And I don't know if it will look like, if it reminds anybody of a fugue, but structurally, if you think about how it's put together, it's a 2-part fugue.
That's really fascinating. You had written a show that I really liked. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It had to do with, Bob directed it, and it had to do with alchemy.
Oh, Flamel's Dream.
Yeah, that was very, 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 very clever. A love story, right?
Yeah. And a modern story of modern day alchemy.
Yeah. Trying to make gold out of coal or something like that, or
well,
what? I mean, that was
the whole concept.
That was not the whole concept.
Of alchemy was the ability to transmute a base metal into a higher metal. You would start with iron,
right?
And you'd end up with gold. And that, of course, was an analogy to the human soul. You begin with a human and end up with a divine being, having transformed through the many generations of growing. So alchemy is a fascinating subject because they pretended through much of history that their goal was actually to make gold and get rich. And the reason they did so was because the heresy of what they believed, which is that human beings can evolve into godhood,
right,
was considered a heresy by the church. So they said, oh, we're not trying to be spiritual like that, we're just trying to make gold and make money, which was okay. Whereas the real spiritual goal was heresy, so they didn't want that to be known.
So alchemy at the time was almost like modern day New Age, right?
Yeah, it was a cult.
Yeah, kind of.
Exactly. Alchemy is still part of the New Age cultural world.
Yeah. That's that. Where do you get your ideas from to write these plays? I mean,
boy, I wish I knew. Some people say, I've written a lot of plays. A lot of people say, well, how do you write a play? And I realized, I have no idea.
Didn't you?
Every time I start a new one, it's start from scratch. I don't know how to do it.
Didn't you write a play about, I think this is another one Bob directed, about a music composer?
Yes.
What was that one called? Because I saw that one.
It was called Bruckner's Last from
Oh, yeah.
It was about one of my favorite composers in the world who had a very intense spiritual life, and whose spiritual life was very connected to his composition life. So I really wanted to examine his artistry and where it comes from.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a play that I wrote out of dear love for music, and Bob directed that.
Yeah.
And that was.
Bob and you were a good team.
Well, he was. I'm glad he wanted to do my plays. It was
Yeah.
very,
He seemed to like to
yeah.
do your plays.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go back in time a little bit. You were around at the when Cyrano's theater company got started in the early '90s. Did you know Jerry and Sandy Harper?
I was living in Valdez at the time.
Oh, you were.
I was working on the radio station in Valdez. And out comes this article in the Daily News. Here's this old couple came up here, they inherited a building, and they're going to start a little theater. And I looked at them, they're about my age, and wait a minute, that's my dream. You know, I've had a life here, I want to go back. I've always wanted to do theater, I had to do other things to make a living. And I want to go and meet them and do my dream there, so. I went into town, actually we had a community theater production I wanted to bring to Anchorage. I tried a few of those over the years, it never worked out because I didn't know how to raise an audience. But I rented the Cyrano's from them and did my play on there. And at that time, was it Grant Cochran had a play running there, a guy from the Valley, maybe. And it was just in the earliest days of Cyrano's.
Yeah.
And they had just done their first show or something. And I met them and we brought a couple of shows in from Valdez. And ultimately, I said to Jerry, you know, I could take a Friday off work. I work early in the morning, drive into town Thursday after work. I get off at noon, do rehearsal Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or a performance. Could you live with that? Could you give me a role and live with it if I just were here Thursday through Sunday for the weeks of the performance, and I'll take one vacation day each week? And finally he said, yeah, I could live with it, and you want a role in such. So I ended up taking the role of Shelley in Glengarry and Ross, and commuting and taking the vacation days.
Who was in
and I
that
had the
with
time of my life. Oh God, I could remember the names now.
Oh, put you on the spot.
Todd, what's his name? He was a wonderful actor. The names are gone. I'm sorry. It was so long ago.
No, I've not put you on the
But
spot.
I hadn't acted for years, and Jerry directed me, and I just loved getting back to the stage.
Yeah.
So we did a number of shows in that mode, and that's how I got involved in Cyrano's. It was the early years, and Jerry and Sandy were. It was pretty much seat of the pants. You know, Sandy was the one who created the institution. Jerry just wanted to do some plays.
Yeah.
Oh, we need a board of directors, we got to have a meeting. Okay, we'll have a meeting, but when's it going to be over? Because I want to go work on my next production. It was Jerry's attitude. And Sandy's there trying to create this structure for him to function in. And there was a lot of work left over, so I suddenly was in a wonderful position where I could direct, I could convince them to put my plays on. And I was suddenly given all the opportunities to do all the things I wanted to do all these years. And so that was a great, great gift to me.
Jerry was a very considerate man. It was interesting. I knew him and Sandy a little bit. You know, they'd see me act and do stuff like that, but I really didn't do much on the Cyrano's stage in the '90s or in the early 2000s. And I remember when I was in real ill health about 15 years ago or so, and Jerry would reach out to me, and he was concerned about how I was doing, and it meant a lot to me. And,
well, I think what had happened was, you know, you did that role of Stanley.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's before you came down with the cancer. You were very young.
Yeah.
You were just a kid, and you did it so well. Jerry looked at that and he said, oh. there's a really good young actor here.
Yeah.
So he had you in mind, and then you came down with that horrible illness, so
Yeah.
it took you out of the stream for a while there, but
Yeah.
you were so fabulous, and you were just a kid, you weren't too young to play that part.
Oh,
You did wonderfully.
I still think I was too young to play that role.
You
But
really pulled it off. I was like, wow, this kid's really good. He's playing this major Broadway part and pulling it off at a young age, so.
it's one of those
You went on
ones.
Jerry's Map, I saw that show, yeah.
It's one of those ones that I want to do again, but I might be getting too old for it now. But yeah, no, he was very considerate for sure. Actually, I want to talk. I remember seeing you around Cyrano's in the '90s, and I have to admit that when I first saw you, I had this impression of like, man, this fellow looks like he's important. And whether you are or not, you definitely have a presence when you're in the room. I don't know, but that was my first impression of you. But I don't really remember, for the life of me, how.
Why, it should be important, right?
I don't really remember
a visual impression.
why you would ever be important. No, I don't really remember how I actually really first met you and how we first met. And I'm
Well, I didn't notice you existed until I saw you in Stanley.
Oh, is that right?
And I came up afterwards and I was pumping your hand saying, you're great, yeah. Sure, come on over, do some auditions over at Cyrano's, we need terrific young actors, come on over. So that was when maybe I had met you before, but I had never.
Yeah. Well, I saw you around.
Mind.
I saw you at the conference. I think in the early 2000s and stuff. But
well, I was there at the beginning of the conference. I was there at the beginning.
oh, is it?
Yeah, I remember when Jody McDowell would come by and tell us, I'm going to bring Arthur Miller here and Edward Albee and Langdon. And I said, this woman is crazy. I mean, she's just. None of this is going to happen. Poor girl.
We've heard it before.
Yeah, she's just a dreamer. And they all showed up. Was I surprised?
Oh, yeah. That was exciting, I tell you.
Yeah,
Getting to meet, I got to work with Jack Gilbert and, of course, Edward Albee, and I became a John Ware fan because of that. That conference. Never heard about him before, but his plays were just
6 Degrees.
Yeah, like this is how my brain works. Like these plays,
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good time. I wanted to. So I'm actually interested in what. How did you get started in all this theater stuff anyways? And are you a natural born Alaskan?
No, I was born in New York.
Okay.
And I guess I started getting into the theater, when I was young, my father was a baseball player. I actually had a college scholarship
Really?
to go play baseball at the University of Michigan. My brother was also a big athletic guy, and I was always the artsy guy. I was playing the piano and not watching the game. So my parents decided to send me a couple of weeks in summer away to a baseball camp to get me, into sports. They're a real part of life, in this baseball camp. They were just playing baseball. I was not interested. But they were going to put a play on, too. I said, well, I can be in the play and skip baseball. I'll just be in the play. So I was in a couple of plays in camp as a kid, and when I got to high school, I started out for the plays, and there was a wonderful director in the high school. And he encouraged us to write plays. He says, I'm publishing a book, and I think that young people should be writing plays. And he talked a lot about literature. I began to read the literature he talked about, and I started to sit at home and write scripts. And I think ever since high school, it's always been my avocation down through the years, just working on scripts. Most of them, nothing happened to them until I had a couple of productions here and there. Actually, I had a production in Boston that was actually a success. I wrote a play called Head Play, which was right at the end of the hippie movement. It was about a guy going out to Haight-Ashbury, the trip out to
Oh, yeah,
Haight-Ashbury,
yeah.
which was the end of the movement. So it was a whole, dark look at this moment of hope that passed.
It was like
Vietnam War.
like a pilgrimage kind of story.
Yeah, that he's going out there as the war is coming and the whole movement's falling. So it was just a study in the whole. He caught the moment in Boston. This is a play that couldn't be revived. It's so tied to its moment.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I had the experience back then of having audiences come and seeing a play.
Oh, exciting.
And I can get it. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. This was really exciting to write something, have people put it on, and then have audiences come and enjoy it. And this is what I want to do. Well, of course, that's what all playwrights want to do, and it rarely happens. When I came to Cyrano's, and I could twist Jerry's arm and have him do my plays, I was in a position most playwrights aren't. I can get someone to do these things. Wow.
Well, then, and you have the conference there where you can get your plays read as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the beginning, there were no plays in the conference.
Right.
There was nothing going on.
Yeah.
So everything I did at Valdez Community Theater, we did for the conference. And of course, it was such a low grade of theater. These people coming from Broadway, they're looking at Valdez Community Theater. It's not a good mix.
Well,
After a while, we got better people coming in to do it.
Yeah.
But it was pretty funky the first few years.
Yeah.
And all the stars were there to watch these funky productions.
I'm glad Dawson's been keeping it going.
Well,
for the
Dawson
last
has
several
really,
years.
has not just keeping it going. The conference was a lot of fun because we had all these stars there.
Right. Yeah.
But when Dawson took over, the stars evaporated because he didn't have enough money to pay him and everything. The
Yeah.
conference took a real serious turn for the good. Suddenly it's about the scripts. Before it was about the stars and then scripts too.
You're right. You're absolutely
And
right.
it became about scripts, and I think the conference became even more significant and interesting. Even though I miss hobnobbing with famous people,
Sure.
I now go to the conference and I listen to plays read, commented on well, acted well. The readings used to be lousy, they used to be casual. Now the readings are good. So the whole thing it's a much better conference today than it was back then.
And we get a lot of new folks that act at ACT. I mean a lot of folks who are new in town because they're over at J-Bear, right? They're in the military and they want to do some local theater stuff. And I've been encouraging them, like, you really want to like get to have some fun or really get to meet a lot of people in the theater community, and you get to act in multiple things. I encourage them to go to the theater.
Well, I wonder why we don't have more. A lot of people come through the military. They come through. They're employed here and they have a theater background. Yeah. And they don't come and check out the community theater or Cyrano's. I don't know why. Somehow it seems separate. The life on base. I know a lot of talented people come through and have theater background, and they're in the Air Force and the Army, and why aren't they here in our community theaters more?
I think word's getting around a little bit more. I mean, when we did auditions for Broadway Bound, I mean, we had so many new faces, and I learned that that they're all in the Air Force. They're all from out of town. I think Broadway Bound attracted a lot of those, a lot of new faces because if you don't know that it's a Neil Simon play, they all thought it was like a musical. they thought like Broadway Melody or something, right? But they were a little bit like, oh, this is not that. This is an actual drama. Well, so RKP is entering its 9th year this year.
I'm amazed, my God.
Yeah, I think it is. Blast Manager, and but 2019. I mean, you guys seem to be cranking them out, play after play. It seemed, at least from my perspective. So you all did Jill Bess's play, right? And that performed over at Cyrano's. Yeah. And then you did the
That
ice.
was a wonderful experience too. She's so good. She wrote and directed that thing, and it just came out beautiful.
Yeah.
She's wonderful. What a gifted lady.
Yeah.
Hoping she's retiring soon.
Oh, I know.
I'm
We're all
hoping that we'll suck
like
her
this.
into the community theater.
Yeah.
She hasn't had time. teaching as she has all these years, maybe she'll have more time for our little theaters here.
I know.
It'll be a great addition to our.
I see her husband, Joel, you know, I'm like, so is she retiring this year? Because it'd be great to have her around. Yeah. And then you guys did the Ice Maiden over at Cerno's, and you worked with Maddie Cleaver on that one?
Yeah.
Now, she's a delight to work with.
Well, she's someone I had seen here many years ago. I don't know where it was.
Yeah.
But she did some plays with some kids here, and I remember her because there were all these kids on stage, and one had a shine. One just had a halo and a glow, that big smile.
Well, she did
That's a
stuff,
theater kid, okay, that's a theater kid.
Yeah.
This one, she's very young.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about early 90s, she was just a babe.
Oh, wow.
And she was in some children's show here, and I said, that kid shines.
Wow.
And I've watched her grow up, and then she took that wonderfully challenging role in Ice Maiden and made it fabulous. What a gifted lady.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I want to talk a teeny bit about Florida. I want people to, you know, see this, come see your show. What is the premise of Florida?
You know, for a short time I lived down there. I had family who had retired down there, and it was it was around 1970, and I went down to the West Palm Beach area and found the most amazing, strange community. Everybody was new. Nobody came from there. There were rich people living in Palm Beach on the island where Mar-a-Lago is. Yeah. And there were retirees in the middle living in West Palm Beach. And there were poor retirees over there. And then there was all the classes of people that came to serve, the restaurant workers, the healthcare workers, the hospital workers, the gardeners, the building maintenance people. So you had all these different classes, and you had all these different structures. There was I met so many fascinating people. And I felt about Florida that, you know, it's supposed to be a vacation place where everybody has fun, but all these people have come here to die, or they left their homes to work, and they're just as uprooted. And it was a whole uprooted, strange society. Working at a radio station, you meet all kinds of people. It's a good way to see into a society. So when I left, I just had these 4 characters in mind, and I wanted to do something to bring these people to life, and so I ended up structuring the play around the idea that there are 2 friendships created out of 2 different classes. Unlikely friendships would be the subject of this play, 2 unlikely friendships. And then the idea of something I'd always wanted to do is to use musical structures, as I mentioned before. So this can be 2 plays on the same stage. Right? Like a few, a little bit of this one, a little bit of this one. This one says something, this one responds. So that was where the idea came. It's more of a character study than anything else. I don't think it's got any social message or anything, but it's a study of people in isolation.
Well, I tell you, after Thursday's preview night, I got a phone call at work the next day, and a patron said that she saw your show, and she said her face was hurting at the end of the show because she was smiling so much. So
that's a nice thing to say for a play which is fundamentally dark.
Yeah.
I was surprised at that opening audience. I'm delighted, of course, when you write a play and you sit there for the first time, whether it's serious or like, all you want to hear is laughter. That's all you care about.
And that was
I started hearing this sad play and heard all this laughter. I was so delighted to hear laughter in this sad play.
And that was produced once before at Cerno's, right?
That was the first show that Jerry of mine. I did a show before. When they were going out of town, I did my play, the Alaskan Roadhouse.
Okay.
And they were going to the Fringe Festival, so they said, here's a theater, you got a month to do whatever you want. So I did my play, Alaskan Roadhouse. It did okay, so they said, well, you want to do a play? And I said, well, yeah, here's a play. And Jerry said he would direct it. We did the show at that time, and the script was really flabby. You know, it's one of these things, a play that, like this is not a strongly structured play anyway, and I had the structure wrong, and I had too much stuff in it, and we did some poor casting choices. So I came out of there thinking, boy, I'd love to do that play again someday, clean up the script and do a better casting. And even though it was a Jerry Harper directed thing, he was a wonderful director.
Right. But the script
But
wasn't
the
there
whole
yet.
thing just didn't happen for me. I
Yeah.
said, this is a really tender play that means so much.
Do you
People
feel
mean so
better?
much. I want to see this play up. I want to love those people.
Do you feel better about it now?
Yeah, I really. This play shows how much I love these people.
Hmm.
You know, I think when you
Well,
come
that
see the
helps.
play, you'll make some friends. It's all about these characters.
Well, now I'm very anxious.
They're
to
dark
see
stories. And,
it. Yeah. I'm very, very anxious to see it.
Really, what convinced me to do it at this time, though, more than anything, was I've always had, the grand dame role in the middle of this play, and I would casually say to Linda Benson over the years, "Boy, I got the role for you." And one day she said, "Okay, I'm interested. What are you thinking about?" And I said, "Oh," I gave her a script. She said she liked the script. She would want to do the role. Linda Benson wants to do it? Okay. Time to go. If Linda wants to do it, she's saying yes, let's do it as fast as we can before she says no.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
And then I had the good fortune to find people who were as good as Linda to fill out the rest of the cast.
Yeah, you got Ralph Lynch in there.
Yeah, Peter Porco and Shaylee Anderson. Shaylee Anderson. They're all, none of them looks bad next to them.
That's a good cast for sure.
Yeah.
Absolute good cast. So, I mean, you have worn many hats in the theater. A writer, director, actor, and producer. What are you mostly
Oh, writer.
Writer.
Yeah. Matter of fact, you'll learn to be an actor and a producer when you're a playwright because nobody else is going to direct your play. So I better direct it. Nobody can direct it. So I never was serious about directing until I came to Cyrano's, and Jerry assigned me a bunch of plays to direct. And so I started taking it seriously for the first time. All my life I've been directing because nobody's going to direct my plays. I'll get it up somehow. But Jerry asked me to do some serious plays by other people, some of whom would come and see the productions. So suddenly I said,
wow.
I better take this seriously. What does a director do? And I realized at the time that looking at a director's role as a playwright, I realized that directors always bring a concept into a production. And I thought to myself, well, that's the great danger when you're a playwright, that somebody's going to bring a concept in, because I had a concept when I wrote it. I don't want somebody bringing a new concept into a play that's never been produced before. So I decided as a director, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to look at a play and decide how to conceive it. I'm going to decide, if I wrote this script, what would I want to see? And when I began to ask myself that question, I became a much better director. And I did that with, everybody, whether it's Shakespeare, Tennessee Williams, Arthur Miller. If I wrote the script, what would I want to see? And I came up with different ideas than I would have otherwise. And I think that conceptualizing it that way has made me a decent director over the years. So I'm now proud of my direction. And in the beginning, it was just, somebody's got to get it up. But, so I did enough at Cyrano's to take myself seriously as a director. And of course, as an actor, acting is the most fun and wonderful thing to do in the theater, so opportunities to act, I always take them. But the writing comes first, that's sort of blunt.
So last question, where are you going with this? What's next for Dick Reichman? What's next for RKP? Are you...
Well, I don't know. I hope to continue as long as people will let me doing productions in this town. Anchorage has been a wonderful place for me. And now, after all these years, I know the scene, and so I hope I can come up with another script that's worthy of production, or people will ask me to direct something. I love to do new work. I love to do other people's new work, and go at it with this approach. If I had written this, I think it's a good approach. I've had playwrights who like my work as a director because I try to get into their concept.
Well, I feel like we can talk forever, but I wanted to thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.
This has been Dick Reichman with RKP Productions. Come see their show, Florida, here at the Anchorage Community Theater, Studio Theater. It runs for 3 more weekends, or for this weekend, plus 2 more weekends.
Yeah, we got another couple of days.
What's the closing date? I don't have that in mind.
Don't have the date, but we go next weekend and the weekend after.
And close on the Sunday, right?
Yeah, we close after Sunday performance.
Great.
Thursdays through Sunday.
Great. Well, as always, it's great having RKP here.
Well, you guys have been such a wonderful host. I gotta say, we have done shows around town in different places, but coming here is always a pleasure because you welcome us, open the car, lay out the carpet, offer your, help of all kinds. So every show we've done here has just been a gift from you guys to make us so welcome.
Why,
I support us so strong.
I appreciate it. I don't feel like we supported you as well because it was Christmas time, but
Well, we could come in here and play around without being watched.
Yeah.
Some advantages there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, I really appreciate it, and good luck with the rest of your run. And please come see Florida. It's a new show. It's probably the first production of 2020 in Anchorage.
That's right. Doing a show at this weird time, there's no competition.
Yeah, so what else are you gonna do? I mean, y'all have seen Star Wars already. Let's go see. And,
You've had a really cheerful, happy Christmas time right now.
Yeah.
Come on and see this dark play. It'll bring you right down to real life again.
Yeah, you could either see Cats or see this. See this.
Yeah, see this. Come on down to reality.
All right. Well, folks, thanks once again for watching another episode of the Anchorage Theater Community here at ACT. And please come and get your tickets to Florida, written and directed by Dick Reichman, who we just had here. The show is already running. It runs until January 19th. And on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, curtain is at 7 o'clock, and we have Sunday matinees at 3 o'clock. And you can reserve your ticket by calling 344-4713 or going online to actalaska.org. Stay tuned for next month. We are ACT is opening another main stage production of Always Patsy Cline. That's our next show, and we are actually rehearsing it right now. So as you watch this, we're going to be putting this play together. Come check us out. We always love having volunteers over here at ACT. So you don't have to be on stage. You can be backstage. You can help out with Patsy Cline. This is your theater, Anchorage, so take advantage of us. I just want to thank our sponsors, Wells Fargo, the Effort Foundation, the Block Foundation, ConocoPhillips, First National Bank of Alaska, and of course, the municipality of Anchorage. Come see us soon. Have a good day. Bye.